Hi everybody and welcome to today's Geobites presentation. My name's Zoe and I am one of the Schools College's liaison assistants here at the University of Chester, and today I am joined by Derek France, who will be running today's Geobites presentation. Do you want to say hello?
Hi.
So Derek will be able to introduce himself shortly anyway, and you'll see him afterwards. And I do also have Mags here with me today, who will be moderating any questions as they come in. Would you want to say hello, Mags?
Hi everyone.
Perfect, thank you. I'll shortly be handing over to Derek for the presentation anyway, and during his presentation today you will be given the opportunity to ask any questions just via the chat function on the right hand side of your screen. Your audio and video won't be shared, so don't worry about that, but any questions or answers that you do post can be posted either by your name or anonymously. You just need to put your name in or tick that you wish to be anonymous. You can also like other people's questions just to show that you're interested in that, so that then when we come to the end to ask the questions, we'll come to those that maybe have been liked more than others, just to make sure that we get through them all. And then at the end of the session today, Mags will collate any of these questions and ask them to Derek at the end of the session. OK, so Derek, I think that's everything from me, so over to you.
Thank you.
Perfect, that's great now. Thanks, Derek. Has the screen crashed on your end, Derek?
Oh no, it does.
Are your slides not moving for? Oh yeah, there they are. That's fine. Perfect. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, hello. Good afternoon. My name is Professor Derek France, Professor of Pedagogy in Geographical Sciences at the University of Chester. So this afternoon's Geobite talk, I'll try and give you some kind of outline, history and form of fieldwork, some of the objectives people often use when undertaking fieldwork, just touch base on some local, national, international case studies offered by GID at Chester, some concluding thoughts by myself, and some student views on fieldwork. So fieldwork is for many at the core of geography, which dates back to Carl Sawyer's often quoted presidential address in 1956 to the Association of American Geographers, where he's quoted in saying the principle of training for geographers should come whenever possible from doing fieldwork. Sawyer had in mind a slow excursion punctuated by leisurely halts on vantage points across landscapes. The nature of fieldwork in a modern undergraduate degree has changed to embrace modern pace of life. With each hour of day crammed with plethora of learning activities, nevertheless, fieldwork remains a central, fundamental component of the modern undergraduate degree process. So we'll try and cover the objectives, dip into the case studies, and give some concluding thoughts at the end. So here's some bullet points and quotes that people often use for describing fieldwork. Fieldwork is split by goal into many categories: a short excursion, a cook's tour. There's an interesting one. Might not know by modern day students. Thomas Cook. The idea of getting a bus, have a look around, get off the bus. Residential course you're probably familiar with, go away for a week at a time. Study tour, where you have a guide along with you, and project work you often do for dissertations. There's that infamous quote by Sawyer, top right, and bottom left by Bland, 1996. Geography without fieldwork is like science without experiments. Nice quote indeed. And finally, active engagement with the external world is a requirement of the benchmark statements that defines geographical fieldwork to the discipline. What could be a challenge? Well, you see that photograph, and I think you can see, understandably, it's the weather. But basically, people say weather's not a problem, it's how equipped and planned you are for the field trip. So you have to remember to plan ahead, make more than one layer, I have that notebook there has got no plastic over it. It's waterproof notebook people are using. Keep it fun, plan, embrace diversity, and work together to get through the awkward weather conditions you often experience on fieldwork. The student fieldwork can be qualitative in nature, where you meet people, have interviews, analysis is much more softer science, or quantitative, where you can see how head of department looking very chuffed with himself to actually taking a peat off a peat bog, investigating climate change. But fieldwork has many objectives, often hidden away in the activities that people do. There's technical skills, whether it's describing soil profiles, working in rivers, using GPS, using GIS, mapping geological features, whether it's teamwork, actually getting the samples out of the ground, working together under deadlines and to meet objectives set by members of staff. Transferable skills, you need collaboration, you need communication, you need leadership in the group. You also remember you need project management, planning, research design, just to get through the presentation in the field rather than in the classroom. Again, you visit real world benefits by going to places you wouldn't normally go to. That's the icefall on the Osterdalsbreen ice cap in Norway. And then you can become a researcher, working in primary data. There's some students, they're working on the North Wales coastline, having to data collection, data analysis, research design, planning, organisation, decision making, time management. All these are skills that build into fieldwork. But most importantly, people look at fieldwork, think of the social side. Well, social side can be personal self-management. It can be interpersonal skills and social skills that bond groups together through adversity and through the good times. So there's many components that make up a good fieldwork experience. And then you might end up in a remote base camp. This is in the southern Norway in Fieldwork headwaters, and you can see the minibus at the bottom of the tent. Many years ago, we used to go camping there, wild camping. But students' tastes change over time. You'll see later on we've changed the field, so it's much more accommodating with Wi-Fi, warm, running water, a shop. All things you need aren't there in its base camp days. But we've now developed into much more, I call it glamping. Yes, glamping. But where does fieldwork start? It starts more local. As a colleague of mine, Dr. Daniel Boss, leads some first year students on fieldwork around Chester, discussing urban nature. So you start on local fieldwork to build the skills up to go away on overseas fieldwork. Human geographers go abroad as well. They go on the international field trip to Barcelona, and you can see it looks rather warm compared to the wet pitch we saw earlier with hoods up. And that's students visiting a rally held every year in Catalonia, National Day, just outside Barcelona. And they're definitely having a good time there. On the same trip, the students enjoy a view from Montjuic, learn about how Barcelona Olympics played a crucial role in the reinvention of the city in the 1990s. Looks like a game of hide and seek, if you ask me, but definitely having a good time. But physical geographers, well, we think his hands dirtier than man expression than human geographers. Here we are, second year students on the environmental change module, working on the sand dune system. You can just see myself doing a bit of a selfie to the phone as usual. Much longer hair in those days. But you can see here, they're working from the 4 June back, working together as a team, recording the data, recording the ins and outs. Well, we managed to get a drone up, to get a drone transect of the actual landscape below, which can be helpful to students when they come back to analyse their results. So when you're working on a dune system, you have to take a profile. You often start off with a topographic profile, record your data on an iPad, so there's no paper, it's paperless. Stores the data in the cloud, and picture at the bottom, you can see the actual ups and downs. On the left-hand side, where it's 0, 0, X, Y, you can see that's the strand line of the beach. And you're going to go over the 4 June, right back to the Hind Dune, and finish up at the slack area. And if you're following transect, you're following a bearing, working as a team, part of the team is collecting the actual profile data. The other part of the team is on vegetation duties. And they're doing fixed point sampling, where they'll be doing presence and abundance and number of species. And using bronchic scale, you can see the top of the picture, put numbers down, goes 0 to 7, rather than arguing with yourself, is it 5%, is it 6%, is it 8%? You put it into categories, so it helps the design of the project. And inside the quadrant, you take a photograph. And the key question here is we've now linked the data collection of vegetation to ArcGIS. So we use a localized app. All the categories are on the right-hand side: sample ID, site description, height of vegetation, bare earth, bare soil, and then all the range of different plants you normally see in the quadrant on the sand dunes at Harlock. You record. And if by magic it moves onto the cloud data for downloading later to plot it off. So it's basically a paperless way of working, but it's going to be effective teamwork. Otherwise, you end up losing data, or just getting lost, really. Or as often happens, students start going off at certain tangents on the sand dunes, and the data doesn't lie, so we can still find out where they've been afterwards. We have microclimate fixed point data as well, so looking at climates, microclimate change across the sand dunes. Here you can see that schematic diagram bottom left, going from S1 to S10, where the tree line is. We've never made it to S10 because the slack often is too wet to cross. So last measurements always tends to be S9. We can see the loggers set out. We record photograph of the site, temperature, ground level, and 1 meter above, wind speed, anemometer. Lux meter records light intensity at ground level 1 meter above. So you can see the impact of shade and canopy from shrubs and grasses. And don't forget, you need materials to come back and work in the lab. So you need a soil sample to come back, about 100 grams will do. Pack it in a label sealed plastic bag. Site locations measured, come back and grain size tests, colour tests, pH tests, moisture content and organic content using a furnace oven. And that allows you to characterise different stages of development of the actual sand dune system. And finally, what you end up doing is individual students will create ArcGIS story maps. And there's some screenshots of myself of the finished products the students put together. It's dynamic, so you can integrate photographs, video, and maps. So gone are the days of just writing a plain, worded essay on a bit of paper. This is all saved to the cloud again. A great skill to learn going forward. So you might end up in Norway as you approach your third years on fieldwork with myself or a colleague. And you can see we've moved on now a bit from the remote tents and water from the stream, extreme living. We've now got a much accessible camping area at Jostedal camping in Djerda. The shop's just a mere 50 yards away at the road where the bus stop is. And remember, all the students do is get themselves to the campsite by their own steam, so they can use the vacation when it runs in the summer to explore further parts of Norway. So when you get to Norway, and possibilities, and don't remember, it's not freezing in the summer, it can be quite hot. And you can do projects built on skills you learnt throughout your degree, so you get vegetation dynamics, effective environment on processes such as microclimate and weathering. My colleague and I will get excited, start working on progressive river systems and marine-based processes, and even slow processes. There's lots of topics you can work on in your final year dissertations in Norway. On top right, just information, that's the ice fall at Bergsetbreen. It's recessing fast. So why would our former students recommend Norway experience? Well, this isn't our voice, this is the student voice, and we play a big part in understanding what the students want from fieldwork. It's a chance to see beautiful scenery. It gives you more on the average field trip in terms of skills gained and independence. Good opportunity to get dissertation research done early, and a beautiful and exciting landscape. Further down the list, you can see it's the best fieldwork I've ever taken part in. Looks very impressive for employers to show high determination in going on remote field trips. It's not so remote though, the shop's end of the road. Advice from previous students. This is This is what's gained for our students when we're asking for feedback, advising next year's students to go. And you can see that's the National Park Visit Centre we go to for a coffee and a hot dog. It's quite nice. Well, the key message is the top one: bring lots and lots of food, spare socks, and bring a pack of cards. Bring a good pair of walking boots and waterproofs. Take the opportunity to travel around Norway. You've got your own way there. Make use of the opportunity. Take insect repellent. Oh yes, you need insect repellent. Sometimes you can get really bad horse flies in Norway. Take the ferry, not the bus, to Sondal. Get the bus up the hill. Know what you're doing before you come. Sunscreen, a hairdryer for wet shoes and newspaper. Well, would have thought a hairdryer. I don't need a hairdryer myself though. But be prepared. But don't stress. You'll get there. Try and get as much as possible. Have a solid idea of the project, what you want to do. Remember, staff will be there to support students in the field. Concluding thoughts. Fieldwork can be done best perceived as intrinsic to the discipline as clinical practices to medicine. So in my eyes, fieldwork is fundamental to geography. What do students think though? This is the key thing. Again, this is some work myself and a colleague published in 2015. Student experience of fieldwork, and the big one in the middle is fun. It's good, it's social, it's enlightening, it's enjoyable, fulfilling, amazingly funny, obviously a bit hungry as well. So you can see there's different lists of opportunities and experiences that students pick out when they're going on fieldwork. So thank you for listening. Hope it wasn't too fast. I was getting quite excited there halfway through. Any questions?
That's great. Thank you very much. Can just say I'm already jealous now. I already want to come and do all of this exciting stuff. You're making me laugh about glamping. I put in the chat, my friend is Mags, and my friend actually, she was a geographer, and she said that we're not made of sugar, dress for adventure. She says there's never bad weather, only bad dress wear or whatever. Perfect. So thank you very much. I'm just going to hand you over to Mags now anyway to see if there are any questions.
Well, thank you very much for that. That was really interesting, and some lovely slides there with lovely pictures. So the first question is, do students find that they get asked about fieldwork when they go to job interviews, and how useful is it to be able to talk about fieldwork skills?
Well, I think it's important because not only can you talk directly about the fieldwork you've been on, you can give examples of fieldwork, type of activities, type of measurements you've done, type of activities you've done, type of tasks you've done. So it's not just that you've been to Norway, you've done a certain level of research. You'll be able to take that research with you and show the potential employer. So it equips the students with lots of life skills, and lots of experience that go beyond the classroom, which they can bring to an employer's attention.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Also, you've showed us some lovely slides and destinations today. What is your favourite fieldwork location and why?
Well, it's Norway. You can tell I spent a lot of time in Norway. I like Norway. I even holiday in Norway. It's just because there's some big skies, great ice falls, great walks, and it's just open expansiveness that you don't get in the UK.
Thank you. Lovely answer. I think Zoe and I've not been to Norway, so maybe that's on my destination list in the future. Just another question then. So what kind of field work were students able to do during the pandemic?
Well, it's a very good question. During the pandemic, of course, we couldn't do field work. We couldn't really go out and do field work. We can't go abroad and do field work. It's just opening up now. So what we have to do was think out of the box, use our resources and create virtual field trips with videos, still pictures, interactive maps, data sets. The benefits now is that we now use those virtual field trips as resources to support real field work that's now emerging as the pandemic dissipates. So they're still learning the skills, but in a virtual context. And even have some VR headsets as well, so you can have some virtual environments that colleagues can actually use on fieldwork.
I must admit, as much as it obviously isn't, like you're saying, it's not nowhere near as good as going there in real life, being there in person, but what we have gained out of this pandemic, I suppose, is all of those resources, all of those things that we can look at. So if you've not, maybe if you haven't got the money to go away, if you haven't got the resources to be able to get there, you're able to have some form of experience now that there's so much stuff available to us online as well.
That's correct.
So, Derek, this is just a question that I've just thought of listening to the session today. So do the students go on placement from the first year and then each subsequent year?
Well, it'll depend what programme they're doing, but there's a residential fieldwork opportunity in first year. But for the hazards programme, the synchronised geography programme, the combined programmes, and then you'll get fieldwork built into modules where they can, it might be day trips as such, but then they'll get opportunities to go on residential trips abroad. Later on, it builds up gradually as you go through the degree programme.
Well, thank you very much for those answers. No more questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mag. So if Derek hasn't got anything else to share, is that everything from you today, Derek? Yeah?
Cheers, thank you.
Perfect. Well, can we just say thank you very much to you today, Derek? That really was exciting to listen to. Like I say, I was listening, jealous, wishing that I was coming on fieldwork at the university. It's really, really exciting, a great way just to get all of those experiences. And as someone did ask, it is really good just to be able to share those experiences for job interviews in the future, for any kind of thing that you're going to get to learn in the future. It's really, really exciting to be able to do that whilst you're studying at university as well. So thank you very much for all that information, and also thank you very much to everyone that has joined us today as well and asked us any questions. Derek has put his email address up on the slides here, as you can see. So if there is anything else that you do wish that you could have asked and you didn't think of, please do pop him an email. And we've also put some links in the chat as well, just for the departmental page, also for any other of our Geobite events that we've got coming up in the future, and also previous ones that we already have up on YouTube. So if you are watching this pre-recorded as well, please feel free to pop through all of the other ones that we've got available on our YouTube channel. So thank you very much, and thank you, Max, and thank you, Derek, today, and we hope everyone's enjoyed it.
Thank you.
See you again at another one of our events. Bye.